But many solutions are being explored, and one of the many ambitious approaches is cloud seeding. Could this be the key to washing away the smog and bringing clearer skies to North India? Or is it just a short-term fix to a much deeper problem? We'll decode that all-important story, and then we'll shift focus to our persons of interest this morning. You may know them from their vibrant travel and cultural videos about India. Alex and his wife Alina, they're from the UK, but they have been capturing the heart and hustle of Indian life through their lens. So that interesting conversation coming up in just a bit on The Breakfast Club. Okay, first, Delhi is literally trying to make it rain with the air quality slipping deep into the severe zone. The city has now turned to cloud seeding in a last-ditch effort to clean its skies. The plan is to trigger artificial rain that can help settle some of the toxic dust choking the capital. It is a measure born out of helplessness because Delhi's air emergency has stopped feeling like an emergency. This is now the new normal. Every winter, the same story repeats itself. The air quality index across the city is sitting firmly in the severe range. Post-Diwali smoke, crop fires from Punjab and Haryana, and the stagnant winter winds have once again turned Delhi NCR into a gas chamber. Every breath carries fine particulate matter small enough to enter the bloodstream and damage the lungs and heart. There's also a health aspect to it, and it's almost running as seriously and parallelly as the visuals of the smog that we wake up to every morning. The State of Global Air 2025 report shows India's pollution crisis runs far deeper. India reported close to 2 million pollution-linked deaths last year. Air pollution is now the second leading cause of disease in the country. 9 in 10 of those deaths were linked to heart, lung or brain diseases. All of it goes back to air pollution at the source. The biggest culprit is PM2.5, particles invisible to the eye, smaller than a strand of hair. India's safety limit for PM2.5 is 8 times higher than what the World Health Organization recommends. That's how poorly we're failing at it. That means every person in India is breathing air that already violates global safety norms. Scientists are now linking long-term exposure not just to lung disease but also to dementia, to diabetes and heart failure. Nearly 70% of COPD or chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, all of these cases in India are connected to air pollution. The National Clean Air Program was in fact meant to fix just this, but the progress has been minimal. India's air quality standards haven't been revised since 2009. No major Indian city currently meets the WHO Clean Air benchmark. So the human cost is very much real. Children in Delhi are losing years of healthy life. Infants born in high pollution areas face greater risk of lung damage and low birth weight. Outdoor workers breathe poison every single day, year after year. So experts say India needs stronger national standards for PM2.5, tighter emission limits, cleaner public transport and serious accountability for results. Because cloud seeding might bring temporary relief, but the real rain Delhi needs is political win. So joining us this morning to take that conversation forward and tell us all about the phenomena that we're in all likelihood and fingers crossed for that set to witness in the national capital, Manindra Agarwal, Director at IIT Kanpur and the lead behind Cloud Seeding Project is with us this morning. Good morning, Professor Agarwal. Thank you for being with us here on The Breakfast Club. We've spoken of this broader challenge staring at us year in and out, Professor Agarwal. You've come up with this great experiment which is going to see the light anytime soon. How soon? First tell us that, because we've seen repeated delays given the weather conditions and how they've not been suitable for artificial rain being carried out in the national capital region. What is the schedule looking like now?
Well, we are expecting some clouds to be there over next few days. So hopefully we will be able to do the seeding. But as you said, there is no certainty here. Everything depends on the availability of clouds and the moisture content in them. So that's our limiting constraint.
There needs to be a certain moisture in the clouds for cloud seeding to happen effectively. Professor Agarwal, you've been decoding that story. You've joined us every now and then to explain the entire phenomena. But let's repeat that little magic that this experiment is likely to create. What exactly happens when the aircraft enters the cloud, injects silver iodide? Tell us a little bit about the science in simple terms, so our viewers understand what really happens when we carry out this experiment.
It's actually very simple. There is no magic here. What happens is that the aircraft actually flies below the clouds and fires flares which heat up the air around it. And then it injects a very finely ground mixture of various kind of salts into that air. And because the air is hot, the mixture rises up into the clouds. And each tiny globule of this mixture, measuring somewhere around a few microns in diameter. When it gets into the clouds, and cloud has moisture, so the water drop starts condensing around this each globule. And when it becomes a reasonable size, then just by sheer gravity, it drops down as a raindrop. And that's what makes it rain.
Okay, and in an ideal scenario, Professor Agarwal, if this experiment indeed does see success the next few days, what could the AQI then be? So for instance, if it's peaking at 400 in some areas, 350 in most areas on an average, what will it bring down the AQI in Delhi NCR to? And for how long will we be able to sustain that?
So again, this would depend on how large the cloud cover is, and how much moisture is available in the clouds.
Okay.
Because the actual amount of rain will depend on these two factors. But suppose we are able to do some seeding and cause certain amount of rain, we certainly expect AQI to drop significantly. Now, exactly how significantly, as I said, it will depend on these two factors that I mentioned. And this drop generally stays on for a few days. So the source of pollution is still there, so they will keep pumping in newer and newer polluting particles into the air, so that eventually AQI will go up.
Professor Agarwal, now tell us what the science behind this entire experiment has been. What's been the driving force in particular for you and your entire team? Because this time of the year, normally when winter sets in, the cloud conditions are not quite in favor of the entire phenomenon of cloud seeding. So you'll see very little, or there'll be very little expectation of rainfall. Now, in that case, year after year, how much can we depend on artificial rain?
Yeah, not by a large amount. In fact, I would say that we should ideally strive to create a situation where cloud seeding is not required at all. Cloud seeding is a measure that is, as you mentioned earlier, an emergency measure.
Yeah.
When the air quality is very poor and we don't have many other options left. As per IMD analysis of the weather data, in the winter months, we probably get clouds which have with some reasonable moisture content about once in 10 days on average. And so that's when the seeding can be done. And it would, let's say, if all goes well, then the AQI does come down and there is a relief from pollution for a few days. So it would then look like a curve going up and down of AQI. When the seeding happens, it will go down. After some time, it will recover. Then there will be clouds in, say, about 10 odd days. Then we can do seeding again.
Professor Agarwal? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was also just meaning to ask, since we're speaking so much about chemical components like silver iodide, for instance, a lot of experts have also pointed to how there is very little research on the long-term impact of the same, and if rain were triggered using this as a means, very little research has been done on the long-term impact on human health and agriculture, for instance. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, you're right that there doesn't exist a lot of research. a few iterations of cloud seeding have almost no impact because the silver iodide quantity that it sprays is very, very minuscule. Just to give you a sense, if we do seeding over 100 square kilometer area, the amount of silver iodide we will spray would be less than a kilogram. So it means that just about 10 grams per square kilometer silver iodide is spread, which is negligible amount. Now, if you do cloud seeding thousands and tens of thousands time in the same region, then it may accumulate. But I think our target should be not to reach that stage at all. Do cloud seeding right now because that's required to alleviate pollution. And if you in a few years' time, I think we should ensure that the sources of pollution itself are cut.
And this is not a new phenomena in its entirety, Professor Agarwal. We've seen artificial rain take place in other parts of the world, China, UAE, parts of US. We've seen it being carried out successfully. We've also seen it happen in other parts in India, for instance, Karnataka and Maharashtra. The driving force, the motivation there, of course, was agricultural reasons. How different, this exercise which is going to be carried out in Delhi NCR, how different or similar is it to the ones that have taken place in other parts of the country? And tell us a little bit about the success rate too.
Yeah, so it's very similar to the exercises which have been done in the past outside country as well. China did it during Beijing Olympic times when Beijing had a very serious case of air pollution, and they used cloud seeding to alleviate that. But they also worked on a long-term plan so that today there is no need for cloud seeding in Beijing. Their air quality is reasonably good. UAE does primarily for drought elevation, and they very regularly do this air cloud seeding, and quite successfully also. In Maharashtra and Karnataka, they did cloud seeding again for drought relief and achieved some success. But the trade-off, I think what they found, as I understand, I don't know full details, but the cost versus value trade-off was not very good. So that's why they discontinued. And the reason for the very high cost was that these seedings were done by entities outside the country who brought in their plane and pilots, everything from outside. And therefore it became exceptionally expensive.
Professor Agarwal, of the story we understand and of the explaining that you've done, it seems to be that there's a very small window when this experiment can be carried out. How much hope can then be pinned onto this experiment? Because if the cloud formation is huge, if intense rainfall is predicted as is, there's no point doing cloud seeding. And that's exactly why we've seen a delay in the recent past too, why this experiment could not be carried out. If there's insufficient cloud formation, if there's not enough moisture content, even then the experiment cannot be carried out. So there's a very sleek window that is available here.
Absolutely, you are right. And that's why the study of IMD that I mentioned, that the kind of clouds where we can do seeding during winter months are available on average about once in 10 days.
Okay, once in 10 days. Is that the reason why there is also one section of experts that's coming out with a lot of criticism, and they're saying this is nothing but a gimmick? So we're not being able to tackle the problem in its entirety. We're trying to come up with possible solutions. This is one such tool, but it's really not the cure.
It's not the cure. Absolutely right. This is not the cure. The cure has to be curbing the sources of pollution. But it is a useful tool for current situation. That is, you have two options. Either just live through the current high AQI or do something like seeding to bring down the AQI. So that's the state we are in today. So given the current context, this can be a useful tool.
Largely, if I zoom out a little, Professor Agarwal, from cloud seeding to the overall AQI problem in Delhi NCR, it's a year in and out phenomena. We see it every time, this time around, sort of peaks, during the burning of crop residue in neighboring states, Diwali festivities, all of that has been spoken of. And there are so many factors. That's why this entire story is so complex, cannot be wholly pinned onto one sole reason. What's been your analysis of some of the major contributors and what can be done effectively then? Because you've been closely associated with this entire story too.
So I am no expert here, but we have very good experts in IIT Kanpur who have done such studies. And as per their analysis, some of the major sources of pollution are this burning of crop in neighboring states, the emission from vehicles, the fire, which is in tandoor and coal and such things which happen all over the city. And so these three together, I would say, contribute the major component of the pollution into the city.
And which of the three is cloud seeding or artificial rain aiming to tackle at the
So it would be, say, they all pump in PM2.5 and PM10 particles. So cloud seeding will address everything. That is, it will just bring down the level of 2.5 and PM10 particles.
Okay.
So, but in terms of long-term solution, well, we need to switch to probably electric vehicles and convince the neighboring state farmers not to burn the crop. These are the things that we need to aim for long-term solution.
So this would be then termed as an emergency measure. Hopefully we can reach a point where we're not going to have to get down to using this as an emergency response, but we do have an interim arrangement in the meanwhile. Thank you so much, Professor Agarwal, for joining us with all those brilliant talking points and that great idea that perhaps is going to be seeing some success in days to come. Thank you for joining us this morning. Also joining us now is Chandra Bhushan. He's the President and CEO of iForest, one of India's foremost environmental policy voices. Good morning, Mr. Bhushan. Thank you for being with us. Mr. Bhushan, we largely, the last few minutes, decoded the entire cloud seeding story with Professor Agarwal. He's one of the brains behind this experiment that's going to be carried out. So just to piece it together, first up, I do want your response on what you make of this experiment, because National Capital Region is, in days to come, as on expected lines, going to witness artificial rain.
Well, there are known unknowns in cloud seeding. We are not the first country who is going to try cloud seeding. And in fact, Delhi is not the first state. India has been experimenting with cloud seeding for 30 years. In fact, right now, there is an ongoing project in Maharashtra done by, again, a very premier institution, Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, which is experimenting on cloud seeding to increase rainfall in drought-hit areas of Maharashtra. As far as countries are concerned, Dubai uses cloud seeding, and our neighbor, Pakistan, in fact, Lahore, has tried cloud seeding for the past couple of years. But the fact is this, the results are not there. I mean to say, in Lahore, for example, which we studied very carefully, because the topography, the sources of pollution, the climatic conditions in Lahore and Delhi are very similar. And we found that, first of all, it is not that even if you have cloud, it will rain. That is point number one. First of all, you need cloud for cloud seeding to happen. Number two, even if you have cloud, it is not necessary that it will rain. Number three, it is possible that if it rains, it will only rain in a small pocket. It is not going to rain, in the entire area. And therefore, there are sporadic rainfall, small reduction, dip in pollution level in a certain area. There are no long-term, in fact, even days, reduction in air pollution. So I am happy that IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur is trying this, all for experiments. But the fact is, I think it is important for academic institution in India. IIT Kanpur also proposed that smog tower that we have in Delhi.
Yeah.
And it is extremely important that academic institution in India come with scientific rigor, put policy paper and white paper in public domain for transparent comments. India has huge brain power, technical ability to advise them. It is not only IIT Kanpur that knows how to solve the air pollution problem. We have been tackling with air pollution problem for 20 years. So let them experiment. I think it's fine, but I want to be wrong. If I am wrong, the city will, gain. But if I am
Mr.
right,
Bhushan, that's the big challenge, no? Because all brain power is being put to use, but unfortunately, we're seeing very little success. Now, you spoke of one word, topography, and that's in particular very important here, because that's one of the main factors why, despite so much effort, despite so much science being put to use, we're not able to tackle this problem overall. Because I was reading it somewhere and it was so beautifully put out that Delhi NCR, or this entire belt, is literally like a water pond. So like you accumulate water, that's how air gets trapped across this region. A lot of experts have also spoken of airshed approach. What are your thoughts there? Do you think that's the way forward? It's not an effort that can be limited to Delhi NCR alone?
So first of all, air pollution cannot be solved within an administrative boundary. Okay, because pollution is not only generated within an administrative boundary. Delhi pollution comes from outside, Delhi's pollution goes outside. And we have about 200 kilometer to 300 kilometer area where the air quality is affected by all the polluting activities. So point number one, I think that either Delhi air pollution will only get solved if the entire regional pollution problem gets solved. You cannot solve Delhi's air pollution in isolation. So I think the professor in the end said that states will have to work together. Absolutely. Delhi pollution cannot be solved by Delhi government. And I think all the politicians from Arvind Kejriwal to the new administration, which is making promises, they know that they cannot deliver. It is not scientifically possible for Delhi government to assure the kind of pollution reduction they are promising. They can do everything within the administrative boundary, but more than 50% of pollution in Delhi comes from outside, even within the NCR area. Leave stubble burning. We have reasonably good air quality considering past few years because stubble burning has not started.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time when the stubble burning will start. You will see far more deterioration in air quality. So regional approach, airshed approach is the way to go. But the bottom line is this: we are not the only country trying to solve this problem, right? China solved it, US solved it, Europe has solved it. And the answer is there are no shortcuts. Environmental problem cannot be solved by quick fixes or on cheap. There are fundamentals that everyone has done and we will also have to do. There are no way we can solve this problem by putting an interceptor drain to clean Yamuna or doing cloud seeding to clean our air. That's not going to happen.
Okay, another thing which I did speak of right at the beginning of my explainer was what about policy implementation? So there are a lot of initiatives that are shaping up. There's also the National Clean Air Action Plan 2.0. It's under works already. Mr. Bhushan, what are your expectations there and what more needs to be done? What are we not getting right?
I think, first of all, let's understand, and as I said, we understand what are the major sources of air pollution in the region. First of all, it is not, useful to only talk about air pollution sources within Delhi. So we understand what are the major sources of pollution in the region. Say, for example, IFOREST, my organization, we have done a very detailed inventory study in 150 kilometer radius, from Agra till Alwar. That is the kind of area, entire NCR plus couple of districts gives you a radius of about 150 kilometers. And we find that majority of the pollution comes from burning biomass and coal. Whether coal and biomass in industries, stubble burning, which is biomass burning, or cooking and heating fuel. During winters, we also burn significant amount of biomass to keep ourselves warm. Whether we are burning coal or we burn cow dung cakes. So we have, if we know that the sources of pollution, and therefore, if we want to solve air pollution problem, then we will have to tackle the biggest sources of pollution, which we have not done. Cooking fuel, for example. I always tell people that Pradhan Mantri, the Yojana of giving LPG is the biggest air pollution action that India has taken. It is not Euro 1, Euro 2 or Euro 3 in automobile sector. We have gained the maximum by shifting people from biomass and coal cooking to LPG cooking. And I started by saying that there are fundamentals we all have to do. No country in the world has solved air pollution problem without addressing solid fuel, which is biomass and coal. So we will have to make sure through incentive, through better reach, change in cooking fuel, use in the country, especially within the region. Stubble burning must stop, because it is not only about air pollution, it is also about soil health and ecological health. Electric vehicle is already there. I think that all of us, our next vehicle is going to be EV and not internal combustion engine. And industrial pollution will have to be tackled. There are no shortcuts. This is what I'm trying to say.
And very interestingly, you also pointed out, Mr. Bhushan, how every report, every study speaking of vehicular emissions, stubble burning, construction activities, but there's a story that's supposed to be unled beyond these terminologies, which is not happening, unfortunately. Mr. Bhushan, thank you so much. There are other aspects that we wanted to speak about. For instance, so worrying that in 2023 alone, and this is Global Air Report that's flagged how more than 2 million deaths took place due to air pollution. That's the worry here, and that's why this story needs the kind of discussion that we're trying to bring forth. Thank you, Mr. Bhushan, for joining us this morning. We head into a very short break with that. Coming up next, we shift our focus to our persons of interest this morning. They make travel and culture videos all about India. They will be decoding the India story through their lens. Coming right up.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
I also want to ask you another question. The charge that is being made, I know, Nikhil, you want to make a point, but also answer this when you make your point. The charge that is being made is that, be it SIR or be it what RJD has said about the Waqf Act. Waqf Act also got the green signal from the Supreme Court. It was passed by Parliament of India. Yet Tejasvi Yadav says that if we are voted to power, we are going to throw this act in the dustbin. Something similar has been said in the past by Mamata Banerjee as well about a law that was passed by the centre. I think it was the criminal amendment bill. So, where is this really heading to? I want to understand from our panelists. Nikhil, starting with you, then I'll go to the other two.
Yeah, first of all, you see, the SIR exercise was done excellently. And there is no doubt about it. And all are not fake voters. SIR exercise was being done after 2003. You see the gap, time gap. And at least 25% of voters were dead voters who were omitted from the list. Many were displaced. Many shifted to other places, right. And many of the voters were fake. Yeah, double voters or triple voters. That exercise was done, and that is a clean process.
Yes, 69 lakh is the final number that Election Commission has given. But I repeat that question to Congress and to our analysts. Nikhil, just 1 second. Just 1 second. Sujata, the question that I was asking, I'm repeating. Be it the opposition to SIR or be it the statement that is being made that if voted to power, we are going to throw the Waqf Act in the dustbin. Is this genuine concern that the India bloc constituents have, or are you only indulging in appeasement politics?
There is no appeasement politics happening. We work according to the law, according to the constitution which has been given by Baba Saheb Ambedkar. The fact here is that the BJP only maligns people, and we have seen how the BJP today and their star campaigners and their only and one non-biological god of the BJP for the BJP is going around spewing hatred and spreading lies. What has happened as far as the SIR is concerned is for all of us to see how there are so many problems there. As far as the Waqf amendment is concerned, of course, it is an effort of the BJP to polarize the voters. And if we talk about
but it is being said by Tejasvi. But Sujata, 1 second. How is BJP polarizing? Because this issue has been brought to the fore once again by RJD.
Right.
Let's understand one thing, that BJP is doing everything in a very systematic manner, and their foot soldiers from the RSS go from home to home spreading the news of how their Waqf amendment is going to disenfranchise the institutions of the minorities.
Okay.
How the minorities have been trampled under Mr. Modi only because they also want to sideline and finish off the JDU. So JDU should beware. And this is a strategy of the BJP in cohorts with the RSS.
Okay.
So that is where it is happening.
Okay, Monojit, you very quickly, because I'm running out of time. Nikhil is also waiting. Your point, Monojit.
I think, Arunima, the Waqf law has not been given a black and white go up by the Supreme Court. There have been certain riders, you can understand, that certain clauses are still being challenged. That's point number one. Point number two are apprehensions about genuine voters being excluded. It's very real. Look at the way the Bengalis are attacked outside the state. You understand? I mean, what is happening in Noida? What is happening in Maharashtra? And 4-5 entire family was pushed back to Bangladesh.
Right.
The family who lived in Birbhum.
Right.
So they look at this. Why Mamtadi and the Trinamool Congress, they are apprehensive about the whole exercise. Is very
Nikhil, that's a genuine point that he's making. There is an instance where the judiciary has intervened and said you have wrongly pushed out a family. How do you address such concerns that people in Bengal have?
See, if anybody is having a concern, they can go.
Well, joining us live on the Breakfast Club are two brilliant content creators, both proudly based in the UK, who've each made not one, not two, but 4 incredible journeys so far to India. 5th is something they're planning on already. Their cameras have captured the chaos of Delhi streets, the calm of Rajasthan's camel rides, and everything in between. But more than that, they've collected stories of people, places, and the unexpected moments that make India unforgettable. They're not just creating content, they're creating connection. And so we're going to talk about how it's been for you in India, these past 4 visits you've made. Alex, Amina are with us on the Breakfast Club. Thank you for taking out the time. So when are we seeing the 5th travel plan? How far are we from the 5th travel plan?
Well, yeah, like you said, this is the 4th trip. We're in Delhi right now because we've got a flight to Nepal in a couple of days. It's going to be our first time in Nepal. Then we're going to spend about 10 days there, and then we're flying back to Kerala, which is my favourite state in India, and I talk so highly of it. So there's a lot of pressure on Kerala to perform well for us because Amina's not.
I haven't been yet.
So yeah.
I've heard loads of good things about
what was that one unforgettable memory that comes the moment one says Kerala? So somebody is reminding you of that state. That's one thought that comes to your mind.
I was solo traveling there. Amina was busy doing some other business, so I was in Kerala by myself, and I actually couch surfed. I stayed with local people, and they welcomed me into their home. I, had real connections with real people from Kerala, in Kochi, in Kozhikode, Alleppey. I'm probably butchering the names of these towns, but just had real life.
We're going to let go of that.
Yeah.
We're going to let go of that. It's been lovely to see you literally put out your journey through some of those videos you've put on your social media feed. Amina's been part of that story. Yeah. You've spoken of Kerala. That's on her list still. It's happening on the 5th trip. Which one of these experiences has been your favorite, Amina, so far?
Oh, I liked, we went to northeast of India, Darjeeling, and it was so beautiful out there, honestly. That was one of my highlights, I think. It was just the fresh air and also local food. It's quite mixed with Indian and Chinese cuisine and Tibetan, it's all a big mix. So I really enjoyed unique food combinations there, and just the mountains.
That's the whole of India, isn't it, Alex? That's the whole of India, right? I mean, whichever part you go to, you visit, there's a different, unique flavor in terms of food. Street food is very different in each of these states. So the food variety India offers is, I think, unmatched.
Yeah, for sure. I've been to 10 of the 28 states, right, in India. I've been to 10, and every single one is a different language, different ethnicity, different food, different rules, different laws. That's why I love India so much, because it's so diverse. It's like its own continent at times, and I feel like a lot of the time, when a lot of tourists come to India, they just visit the same 3 places. So they go to what's called the Golden Triangle of India. So tourists will fly into somewhere like Delhi generally, and they'll visit Agra to see the Taj Mahal, which, side note, is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, Taj Mahal. And then they'll go to Delhi, Agra and Jaipur, and this is like where a lot of tourists base their entire trip. And because that's where everyone goes, it's kind of overpopulated, overcrowded, a lot of dirt and mess, which comes with the overpopulation. You know, India's got a lot of people, so it's to be expected. But of course there's a lot of scams as well, because there's tourists there, so it's a way to extort money from people. But what I don't like is how people just base their whole trip around this little triangle in India, but there's so many different amazing places to see in India.
Yeah, that's why you got to keep coming back. That's why you got to plan 4 or 5 trips
to see.
Yeah, you know, from the Andaman Islands to Punjab to Indore to the northeast, like there's just, or even down in the south, places like Kerala, beautiful, clean beaches. You know, there's so much more to see in India than just this small part where people base their entire trip around.
So that's one misconception
Yes.
that you're correcting almost regularly. Every time you visit India, you're like, hey, there's more. There's more you must visit, you
Yes.
must get off of your list. Amina, what about you? Any misconception you think must be addressed or you want to clear for our audience today? That if there's any tourists who believe in a certain something, we're out here to tell you that's not something that exists truly.
I think, in general, I think misconceptions. I'm just trying to think. You know, people.
Great if there are none.
There are misconceptions. As Alex said, I was just trying to think of something different. But as Alex said, there are a few. You will see scams in almost every touristy place, in like everywhere in the world. Like things are overpriced, and that's everywhere. So as soon as you get out of the touristy place, people don't even care about you. They just they treat you as a normal human being instead of like seeing you as ATM.
So would you say that the further you're away from the city life, the more humble, the more warm people are?
Yes, definitely.
I would take offense to that.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. Alex, we touched a little bit upon food, and we didn't quite get a chance to discover that with you. So tell us, which one is your favorite cuisine so far? North, south, east, west?
In terms just India?
India.
My favorite India food is probably paratha from Kerala.
Okay.
I was traveling with a guy called Chris about, I think, 6 months ago, and we couldn't stop eating paratha in Kerala. It's just absolutely delicious. It's so flaky and buttery, and you mop it up with like the curry. It's just delicious.
What's that one thing that stands out in Indian cuisine? Because a lot of people say that it's too spicy to handle, or it's normally not the palate that we'd go for.
I would just say it's just super diverse. Every different region you go to, every different state you go to, there's just completely different types of foods. And there's not really anywhere else like that in the world, quite much as like India when it comes to the food.
We've seen you try and experiment with a little bit of street food too. What are your thoughts there?
Street food. I'm not a big.
Have you had the golgappas, the chaat?
We had pani puri in Mumbai, and that was really delicious. I quite enjoyed pani puri. But
Vada pav as well.
Alex is more experimental with street food. I'm very careful because I have to be.
Okay, understandable. Okay. Through your interaction, now that you've been here 4 times, you've posted so many videos, so much online content about India, why people must choose this as their travel destination. Are there any words that you've managed to grasp? Any local Hindi words? Anything you thought you were able to pick on that people were using every now and then?
Not really, because I change states so often and the language changes so much. That's actually an interesting point. When we were in Kolkata recently, it's the only state I've been in where I would say namaste, and the people in Kolkata would look at me strangely because they're so passionate about their own local language, Bengali. And that's the only state I've noticed where they don't really want to talk to you in traditional Hindi. But in terms of what words I've learned in Indian languages, not too many. I'm going to be honest. There's too many different languages.
You started with namaste and you possibly put a full stop to it.
I can do ek.
After. Okay, lovely. So I think that will happen by the end of your 8th or 9th visit.
Yeah.
Can I just be a little optimistic here?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Amina, now speaking of India, it doesn't just come with a lot of food variety, a lot of languages, a lot of diversity. It also comes with a different set of experiences. So every part of the country, wherever you go, you experience people in a different way, you experience travel in a different way. What has been your favorite mode of commuting? You know, so you have auto rickshaws, you have buses, you have metros.
I actually, every time we call taxi, I always say to Alex, please can we have rickshaw? Because you can go long distance and you just can see everything around you in the city, or like the hustle, the bustle. I quite like getting, when I'm in the city, I quite like getting my way around with rickshaws. But also I noticed Indian sleeper buses are quite good. If we do long distance, we always take night buses, and you just sleep and you wake up in a different location. It's so easy. So,
Alex, what about you?
My favourite mode of transport in India is easily the trains. No doubt about it. When I was in Kerala, for example, I would buy the lowest class ticket possible. And the reason for that is you get such a real raw experience, and I would sit up in the luggage hold with other people, make friends, talk. People would share their food with you, and you can look out the train and see the beautiful sights of Kerala, and it's just a real raw experience traveling on the trains through India.
Alex has not been able to get over Kerala as yet. He's thinking about the last time he visited Kerala, the next time he's going to be visiting Kerala.
Well, we'll be back there in a few weeks,
Yeah, definitely.
Going to visit Varkala, somewhere I'm really excited about.
Beach,
I've heard so many amazing things about Varkala. Didn't make it that far south last time, so.
Have you made some local friends in any of these places?
Loads.
Do you have go-to people already?
Yeah. I've got Shahi in Delhi and Arman in Kochi, who are two guys I talk to a lot. I'm sure there's others as well. But I feel like sometimes being a content creator, a lot of my followers are from India, and so
how much of a role does that play in bringing you back to India over and over again, that you have a significant Indian following?
It makes the content easier because you get a lot more interaction, so it makes making content easier. But I wouldn't, my content I would say is still, it's not biased anyway. I don't just make positive content about India. Not everything about India is positive, just like any other country in the world. Like the UK, where I'm from, for example, has major problems, right? It's just like any other country. So I still make all types of content about India. It just depends on the scenarios that I get into and what happens to me. I will make content about anything.
And any one scenario on top of your mind which is unforgettable. So could be a random conversation, could be something you ate which was remarkable. We've heard about the food choices there, but anything that you think is the one memory that you're going to recall when someone asks you of your experience in India? Or are there too many?
There's tons of things, like four visits and 10 states, but off the top of my head, the thing I've enjoyed most recently on this trip was in Rajasthan. We went to a small village called Ossian. Don't know if you've heard of Ossian. It's kind of a bit like desert vibes. They do camel safaris there, and we did a local homestay, and it was just us. We booked this tour, and we expected to be 10 people on this tour, and we arrived and it was just us, and it was the most magical experience. We stayed there for 2 nights, and we cooked local food with the auntie of the house. We were making fresh chapatis on the open fire. I went to the local school and teach some kids English there. We rode camels during the sunset. So doing a local homestay in some super remote place is something I recommend to anyone that comes to India. If you truly want to understand how the locals live here and live in a bit of peace as well. It was so quiet. It was magical.
Yeah, it was peaceful.
It was great, yeah.
So for anyone planning their vacation to India, let's say, and not from India, so for anyone abroad who's planning a vacation, why do you think India is an ideal destination or makes for one which gives you a seamless idea or a seamless way of going about planning? So for instance, from booking your flights to booking your homestays to how easy it is to deal with people locally. What's your experience been like there for anyone who's considering India as a travel destination?
It's a good point because there's a lot of negative content about India online, and I feel like that makes people come here with a negative mindset, so they might tend to have a negative experience because of what they've seen online. But I feel like people need to come to India more open-minded than that. It's a huge country, you know, one of the biggest countries in the world with the highest population, but things aren't that difficult around here. They have Uber, you can get from anywhere you want, from point A to point B so simply. It's actually one of the simplest countries, in my opinion, to get around. There's so many modes of transport. There's airports all over the place. You can travel by plane, you can travel by bus, by train, by rickshaw, by car. There's so many ways to get around. It's just really not that much of a difficult country to travel in as people make out.
And there is like everything for like anyone. If you want to go to mountains, there are mountains. If you want to see snow, you go to Kashmir. If you want to see the Maldives, you go to Andaman Islands. If you want to see hills and that area, you go to Northeast, West Bengal. There's
beaches.
The hills are almost everywhere. The beaches are almost everywhere.
You can see all sorts
areas.
of weather, like everything, all sorts of nature, different people, different food. It's quite diverse.
So beaches or mountains? What's been your pick so far? In India?
Beaches.
Beaches.
Yeah, Goa and Kerala for me. I've not done these.
We like
days.
sunshine.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Now, if I were to ask you, Alex, Amina, so far of the travel experiences you've had, the kind of content you've shot, so you're content creators, which also means that responsibility comes with traveling and enjoying traveling. How do you shoot your content or put out your content, also wanting to move away from travel cliches? Because content creation is increasingly becoming about standing apart, so being different. How do you do that?
One thing I'm quite passionate about with my content is like I find I'm quite original. I really like, sometimes you have to like jump on a trend because it's easy views, easy engagement, easy way to grow your page, but I really do try to make original, genuine content. So I've started to do a lot of like walking, talking content on the street, interacting with local people, just immersing myself in local cultures.
Yeah, we just show our
And amongst the two of you, who's the OG content creator and who's following footsteps?
We started at exactly the same time.
Oh, lovely.
We started together.
We both started about...
Did you all meet like that too?
No. We met solo traveling in Vietnam.
Okay, lovely.
You know, like 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, long time ago.
Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to ask you a quick rapid fire.
Okay.
So we're going to do a quick rapid fire. Both of you have to answer. Alex first, Amina next. My question is the same for both of you, okay? Let's do this 5-10 questions and then we'll close the conversation.
Brilliant.
Okay, great. Butter chicken or biryani if you've tried both?
Butter chicken.
Biryani.
Lovely. Okay, spice level, mid, medium or bring the fire?
Bring the fire.
Bring the fire.
Okay, great. That's why you love Indian
Yeah.
food. Okay, Taj Mahal or Jaipur's palaces?
Taj Mahal, easily.
Taj Mahal.
Taj Mahal. Have you guys done Jaipur palaces?
Yes.
Okay, which one?
Maya Jahal.
Was it Amber
Palace?
Fort or something?
We've been to
Okay,
Amber
we'll
Fort.
figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay, best street food snack? I think vada pav.
Vada pav in,
Yeah.
in Mumbai. It has to be in Mumbai.
I mean, wherever across
Yeah.
India.
For me, the vada pav in Mumbai.
I like fruit salads. They make fruit salads.
Okay, we have a health freak here, also very safe. Very safe. Preferred mode of travel in India is
Trains.
train for you and auto rickshaws for
Rickshaw,
you.
I
If
like
you don't have to
rickshaws,
travel the
yeah.
distance. Okay. Bollywood movies. Love them or skip them?
Not applicable. Haven't seen, so can't comment.
I watched so many when I was little. I watched so many with...
Can you name a few if you remember any?
Oh, I
Maybe
can name it
Pulale,
in
Dulhania
Russian.
Le Jayenge.
You know where they sing Bori Julia?
Oh, yeah, that's Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. Okay,
We went to the
lovely.
studios in Mumbai and she was like, in
I was
her
loving
element.
it.
She loved it.
I was loving
Lovely.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite Indian festival to experience? Either you have already or on your list.
Do you know what? We haven't done that many festivals. We recently just went to Durga Puja in Kolkata and it was crazy. Yeah.
Have you
Yes.
ever bargained successfully in a market?
Yeah.
Who's killing at that game?
It depends on the situation, you know. I don't like to bargain too hard because I like to give to local communities and support,
Okay.
you know, the economy.
What's been your best bargain purchase?
Some fruits. I'm like, why is this so expensive?
She's stuck on fruit.
Yeah, obsessed.
we have a real health freak here.
That's all I buy.
Yoga or meditation? Have you tried either in India?
What was that, sorry?
Yoga or meditation?
Nope.
No.
We were just talking about this the other day. I said that maybe you should do it when we're in
I'd
Kerala.
love to try yoga.
Okay, lovely. And lastly, your go-to Indian drink? Chai, lassi, something else?
Kingfisher.
Okay.
Ginger lemon honey tea.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
you guys are poles apart, but lovely having this conversation with you, Alex, Amina. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you
your
for
special
having
journey
us.
with
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Nominees for the award this year are just simply brilliant. I think it's an assembly line of brilliance.
Incredible. I'm in awe, I'm inspired, and I honestly don't know who to choose.
We had a really tough time to decide. Indians are making it on the global stage, and I believe that whatever happens happens for the best.
We're going to have a really tough time ahead of us to really pick winners.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
I also want to ask you another question.
Arunima,
The charge that
I
is
just
being
want to
made,
make a
I
point.
know, Nikhil, you want to make a point, but also answer this when you make your point. The charge that is being made is that be it SIR or be it what RJD has said about the Waqf Act. Waqf Act also got the green signal from the Supreme Court. It was passed by Parliament of India. Yet Tejasvi Yadav says that if we are voted to power, we are going to throw this act in the dustbin. Something similar has been said in the past by Mamata Banerjee as well about a law that was passed by the centre. I think it was the criminal amendment bill. So, I mean, where is this really heading to? I want to understand from our panelists. Nikhil, starting with you, then I'll go to the other two.
Yeah, first of all, you see, the SIR exercise was done excellently. And there is no doubt about it. And all are not fake voters. SIR exercise was being done after 2003. You see the gap, time gap. And at least 25% of voters were dead voters who were omitted from the list. Many were displaced.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
In the run-up to the Bihar Assembly elections, the political temperature...
Welcome back, and now in a freewheeling exclusive chat with CNN News 18 show, Shastitas Chaudhary Ahana Kumra looks back at the toxicity she dealt with in Rise and Fall. She talks about her anxiety diagnosis, how it got triggered during her stint, and how she managed to overcome suicidal thoughts that engulfed her at one point in time. Ahana discusses the lack of good work, fighting pay disparity and turning down offers because of that, and also choosing not to audition for a film starring a Big Boss contestant and much more. She reveals turning down Big Boss many times, in fact. Listen into this conversation. We'll leave you with this. Thanks for watching The Breakfast Club. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hello everyone, welcome to News 18. I am Titash Chaudhary in conversation with Ahana Kumra. Hi.
Hi Titash.
How are you?
Very good. How are you?
All good. So happy to see you. It's been a few months now.
Yes.
But you're back from Rise and Fall. Is there a sense of relief?
After the ultimate fall, yes. No, but I think it's been a wonderful experience. Of course, there's a sense of relief after you leave the house, but it takes you a long time to get out of the thoughts that took place, or the incidents or the events that took place inside the house.
Right.
And the tower, rather. So it does take, like the thoughts linger on for a really long time. So although you're relieved from, and you have a sense of relief of getting out of captive reality, but I think there are some everlasting effects that happen, when you're in captive reality.
Absolutely. Is there a sense of regret though, Ahana, that I wish what if I didn't do it? Be honest.
No, I think for me the regret is that I didn't do enough research before I went into a place like this. So my idea of doing the show was to obviously, dabble into a new format, because I think I was excited about a new format. I was like, chalo theek hai, ye karke dekhte hain. How does it feel to, be a part of captive reality? But having said that, I think I should have watched some Big Boss or some Splitsvilla or like some of these reality shows which I've never watched, because I've never been interested in watching any of that.
Right.
So that is the only thing that I feel regret about, that I should have watched, because I would have been better prepared to navigate the space and the people and the toxicity that follows with everything.
Yeah. Oh. But have you been approached for any other captive reality show, if you know what I mean, before this?
Yeah, year after year, like many, many times. And I think for many, many years I've been asked to do the other show. And I have said no, because I was very, very scared, and I was not sure about how would I manage to be inside a house with so many new people. And you don't only have to like eat and sleep around in the same area.
Yeah.
But you have to also like just live with them in general. Spend time, talk. So just that scared me.
Icons inspire, but the invincible define an era. Witness the unveiling of India's invincible icons on a stage that crowns greatness. CNN News 18 India of the Year 2025, coming soon. Brought to you by... This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
In the run-up to the Bihar Assembly elections, the political temperature is soaring. RJD leader in India Bloc's Chief Minister face, Tejasvi Yadav, has vowed to scrap the Waqf Amendment Act if elected, calling it a tool of communal oppression. Addressing a rally in Katihar, Tejasvi accused Chief Minister Nitish Kumar of siding with decisive forces and empowering the RSS. The BJP hit back hard, with leaders branding Tejasvi's stance as desperation for power, and has accused him of appeasement politics and attempting to rob EBCs, Dalits, SCs and STs of their rights. Adding to the mix, Congress leader Rashid Alvi stirred debate by demanding a Muslim deputy chief minister in Bihar, citing the community's 19% vote share and its unwavering support for the India Alliance. Nitish Kumar, meanwhile, launched a scathing attack on the Lalu Rabri regime via social media, reviving allegations of corruption and crime.
आप लोगों से हम कहना चाहते हैं, वक्त कानून जो इन लोगों ने बनाया है, हमारी सरकार बनेगी तो उस बिल को हम लोग कूड़ेदान में फेंकने का काम करेंगे।
सबसे पहले आपने तो वो बयान सुना होगा आरजेडी के नेता का, जहां पे उन्होंने कहा कि उनकी सरकार अगर आएगी तो वो वक्फ बिल को हटा देंगे। क्या आपको लगता है कि वो एक कम्युनल या कोई नॉन सेक्युलर काइंड ऑफ स्ट्रैटेजी अपना रहे मुस्लिम वोट्स के लिए?
देखिए, जब लालू जी जेल जाते थे तो कहते थे कि जेल भेज के दिखा दे। उनको भी पता है कि मेरे हाथ में कुछ नहीं है, प्रोपगंडा फैलाना है। बिहार की जनता जानती है लालू जी को कि न्यायालय और पार्लियामेंट तय करता है कि कानून क्या बनेगा। लालू जी ने के पार्टी ने पहले भी महिला बिल फाड़ने का काम लोकसभा में किया।
बिल्कुल।
यदि 20 साल तक लगे महिला बिल को पारित होने में तो उसका सबसे बड़ा अपराधी कोई रहा तो वो लालू प्रसाद रहे, जिनके पार्टी ने सब दिन महिलाओं के बिल को फाड़ने का काम किया। और आज भी ये लोग जानते हैं कि वक्फ बिल बोर्ड जो है वो ऑलरेडी पार्लियामेंट से पारित हो चुका।
तो आपको क्यों लगता है वो क्यों बोल रहे हैं?
वो प्रोपगंडा है, लोगों को प्रवोक कर रहे हैं। इस देश में कानून बन चुके, जनता के बीच कानून है और जनता इसको लोकतंत्र से स्थापित की है।
ये सही है कि वक्फ कानून पार्लियामेंट ने
inspire, but the invincible define an era. Witness the unveiling of India's invincible icons on a stage that crowns greatness. CNN News.